In his first press conference, Eddie Howe was clear, we're in a relegation battle. In his latest, however, a lot of things has changed. He was asked if he is in a title race. At the beginning of his task, Howe said, the size of the job was huge, absolutely massive. And the early stages were very difficult for us. We didn't win games that we really had to win to stay up. Newcastle have won 20 of Howe's 41 league games. Over the same period, only Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur, and Arsenal have accumulated more than our 71 points. Now, I will show you how he did it. Please, subscribe if you want to get all the breaking Newcastle United news. One disclaimer, this video is based in a great article from The Athletic, written by George Calkin and Chris Waugh. There's a link of the article in the description. So let's go. Howe's introduction to life on Tyneside was alarmingly in keeping with a club that had become a basket case. The team was 19th in the table and winless for 11 games. The new coach couldn't be on the bench because of the pandemic and he was tested positive. Howe paced around his hotel room while watching the chaotic draw and was in constant contact with Stephen Purchase, the first-team coach, who sat in the St. James Tunnel. The disorder, dysfunction, and distance made it the most stressful 90 minutes he had ever experienced. A fortnight's worth of training with a group of players, who in Howe's view, wanted to be coached, wanted help, and who according to Amanda Staveley, the co-owner, were unfit, had been promising, but that elusive first victory of the season proved frustratingly unattainable. In the Hilton Hotel, Howe felt close to helpless. He realized that the task of keeping Newcastle up would be even more challenging than he expected. The new manager brought about the conclusion that survival would need to be built from the back, given Newcastle would go on to set an unwanted Premier League record of conceding 80 goals in a calendar year. Newcastle appeared doomed, slipped to the bottom of the table, 5 points adrift of safety, and having followed it up with a routine defeat at Arsenal and a deflating 1-1 draw with relegation rivals Norwich City at home. The turning point happened here, Howe remembers. This was game change and swung everything our way. It occurred after heavy defeats like a dismal loss to Cambridge United in the FA Cup and then a damaging draw with Watford. Meanwhile, the first reinforcements have arrived. Trippier came from Atletico Madrid, which felt like a statement signing. Chris Wood was signed from Burnley for £25 million, which felt like a lot of money. The team were 19th, 1 point ahead of Burnley, who had 3 games in hand. Plenty of new dawns had broken, but, in terms of results, Newcastle remained as broken as ever. The backdrop was intense and stressful, with Howe acting as de facto director of football as the club strained to bring in players, taking calls during training, stretching himself thin. The victory over Leeds through Shelvey's goal was a validation that we're not dead and buried. Moreover, we had a couple of injuries. During a 2-week break, the squad flew off to Saudi Arabia for a warm-weather training camp buoyed by victory. They flew back a team. They were joined by Matt Targett, Dan Burn, and Bruno Guimaraes, smart signings that addressed what we needed, taking their spend in January to more than £90 million. Howe did not allow his focus to shift beyond securing survival. He understood pragmatism was required to avoid relegation. Maintaining the club's top-flight status was all that mattered, the rest could wait. The effectiveness came before attractiveness at that stage, and Newcastle certainly became efficient, embarking upon a 9-game unbeaten run in the league. During that run, Newcastle kept 3 clean sheets and conceded only 6 goals, never shipping more than once in a match. Having started the year 2 points adrift of safety, by March 10th, Newcastle were 14th, 10 points clear of the relegation zone and practically safe with 11 games remaining. We won a lot of games towards the end of last season, but we weren't the dominant team a lot of the time. I don't think you can sustain that, Howe said. Bruno Guimaraes was gradually introduced into the side, just as Howe gradually transitioned his team from a basic approach to a front-foot, pressing game plan that he felt could bring prolonged success. St. James was a fiesta. The away dressing room was a morgue. Newcastle were 10,000 times better than us today, Mikel Arteta fumed after a defeat that ultimately cost Arsenal a place in the Champions League. Our position in the Premier League was beyond secure, an astonishing recovery, but more than that, Arsenal provided us with a glimpse of the club we once were and the team we hoped to become. The noise was ferocious, but the team played like the stadium sounded. Howe said, "The crowd and the feeling was unbelievable." So you think to yourself, what if this was for something? What if it was to win something or qualify for something? It just showed what the club can be. We set the marker there in that moment, for what we want to be. It is 21 years since Newcastle United were in the Premier League's top 3 at Christmas. The club got this with a clear tactical idea. Off the ball, the team pressing is contagious. On it, our wing-play combinations are dominating the opponents. And in terms of set pieces, we are one of the best teams in the league. After the game, Howe was pleased with the performance, especially the intensity. Chelsea were relentlessly playing out from the back, which meant we were chasing them and trying to disrupt their rhythm, break up their passages of play. They have got such good technical players that we felt we needed to try to do that. The players delivered that brilliantly. Thanks to Joe Willock's sumptuously curling winner, Eddie Howe's renascent Newcastle registered a 6th straight victory. 21 years on from the last time the team were in such a lofty position at this stage of the season, the fans will be hoping this campaign ends the same way, with a Champions League spot.